Can you guys hear me? Please stay in your groups.
Mohammed Farah has a job ahead of him.
Guys, let's keep moving.
And it's bigger than simply getting this group of a couple dozen young Somali Americans through the crowds at the Minnesota State Fair.
We wanted to make some changes, take ownership of the community.
That's because in recent years, this community has become a target for radicals.
2007, 2008 was sort of a low point for the community.
The FBI says close to 24 young Somali men here in the Twin Cities disappeared. They'd been recruited, radicalized, and ready to fight with Al-Shabaab, the al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group in Somalia. But now, a new threat, ISIS. Within the past week, 2 Americans were found dead in Syria, both fighting with the ISIS terror group and both from Minnesota. One of these men, Abdirahman Mohammed, a member of the local Somali community.
ISIS was a shocking to all of us. It was a sort of a smack to my face, to our, to the faces of the community members, because it shows us that we're not doing enough. I did not eat anything.
A particular blow to Farah, because ever since the very first young men vanished 7 years ago, he's worked to create after-school programs to keep them away from drugs, gang violence, and yes, radicalization. The group's name, Ka Joog, in Somali means to stay away.
What we're doing is play a preventive role rather than a reactive role.
He says he's creating the next crop of this country's leaders. And at the state fair, they're here to observe 4-H. Next year, they'll compete.
I hope it helps me and academically, mentally, and stuff like that.
We talk about how we can make the place around us better.
That's what makes us.
For their mothers, many of them born in Somalia and single parents who work, it's already difficult. On top of that, they're now guarding their children from terrorist recruiters. Ka Joog relieves some of their fears.
Ka Joog really helps with my 16-year-old, guide them to the right formations, to give them to be, stay away from troubles, drugs, alcohol, crimes, and all these things that we see on TV. And that could be my son. It could be one of our American child.
Many of their kids, they say, don't completely understand what's been happening. But that's all right, they say. At their ages, kids should be kids.
I milked the cow.
Was it good?
No,
Why?
It was nasty,
Chris Welch, CNN, Minneapolis.